Hello, Don Blackshear from Pace Performance. Today we're going to be looking at the new ICT carburetor developed by Willy's Carburetor service. This carburetor has actually revolutionized the world in carburetor tuning for engines used in race applications. For years we've all spent thousands of hours and thousands of dollars trying to manipulate the air and fuel flow through the engine to get the cylinders balanced. This carburetor now gives us the ability to do that just by adjusting the booster in the carburetor. The booster uses a siphon tube across the venturi of the carburetor, and it has placed orifices so we can control the fuel flow from either side of the butterfly of the carburetor, giving us the ability to tune each individual cylinder. And tuning cylinders is really critical, especially in a crate type application. You have an intake manifold that has runners that aren't matched to one another. We're not allowed to modify the intake manifold, rocker arms, camshaft, anything to manipulate the airflow through the engine. So in turn, this carburetor gives us the ability to tune each individual cylinder, which in turn allows us to balance the fuel curve of the engine so the engine will accelerate cleaner, smoother throttle control, and it might not necessarily make any more peak horsepower, but it adds tremendous durability to the engine, as now the engine is running even on all 8 cylinders. Crate engines are notorious for having cylinder imbalance due to the intake manifold design of the engine and the conventional carburetors that are utilized on them. Now you're thinking you've got to go buy a complete new carburetor. That's not the case here. Willy's, ship your carburetor to Willy's. They will replace the center main body with a billet body with the adjustable booster program in it. Calibrate and dyno tune your carburetor. It's less than $700. It's an awful cheap way to gain acceleration rate and performance through the RPM cycle of your engine, along with added durability now that all the cylinders will be balanced and running equally in the engine. This carburetor also has an option referred to as the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is a float bowl that has no moving components in it that actually captures the fuel around the main jets and the power valve area of the carburetor to keep consistent fluid pressure on those areas at all times on the racetrack. A conventional carburetor, you can hear the engine just singing going down the straightaway, rolls off into the corner. The fluid in the carburetor immediately transfers from left to right, in turn increasing the fluid pressure on the outboard jets of the carburetor and decreasing the fluid pressure on the inboard jets of the carburetor, causing an imbalance in the intake manifold. As far as cylinders, we have cylinders now running lean, cylinders now running rich. As a racer, it also decreases the throttle response in the middle of the corner, and for years we've worked on things like spacers, tilting the carburetor, and everything we can imagine trying to stop this issue in the carburetor. The Super Bowl corrects that issue. By capturing that fuel around the main jets and the power valve of the carburetor, it keeps the fluid pressure constant at all times, whether the car is in the corner, hiked up on the left rear like a conventional late model, in the rough where the car and the engine carburetor is bouncing up and down. It still keeps that fuel captured around the jets and the power valve channel so you don't have any hesitation or cylinder imbalance from fuel mixture while the car's in the corner. This system, everybody thinks, well, I've got to run a big belt drive pump on it and high fuel pressure. This system will actually operate off a conventional push rod style fuel pump as long as we have 11 pounds of fuel pressure. So you don't have to have a big belt drive pump to run this Super Bowl system like a lot of people think. It will run on a conventional push rod pump. So in turn, if this is allowed as an option in your rules package for your division, this is definitely a must for a racer running a circle track dirt car for sure. If you'd like more information on any of this, you can contact us at Pace Performance at 888-748-4655 or visit our website at paceperformance.com.